I'm over 80 years old, yet never in my lifetime have I seen Chengdu swallowed by such wrath of the skies. Out of nowhere, a monstrous storm descended, drowning the city in a single night. Chengdu, once alive with neon lights and rushing traffic, morphed into a boundless sea. Highways disappeared beneath waves, subway tunnels collapsed into brown torrents, and cars floated uselessly like broken ships. Even the Erxianqiao Bridge, normally a symbol of strength, was rendered helpless. On Chenghua Road, residents had no choice but to row actual boats, charging 5 yuan per passenger, as if the city had regressed centuries overnight. The government had no option but to sound the highest-level red alert for rainstorms. The figures alone are shocking. In Qingyang District's People's Park, rainfall hit 171.7 millimeters, breaking historic records. Within a single hour, 82.4 millimeters poured down, China's fiercest downpour at that moment. Across nearly 100 rain monitoring sites, Chengdu's heart was paralyzed. 23 bridges vanished under muddy water, some more than half a meter deep. The East Railway Station went dark under floods, subway trains halted, taps ran dry, and even the airport spiraled into chaos with dozens of flights stranded. Emergency forces scrambled. Chengdu declared a Level 3 flood response, sending out 3,000 rescue workers and hundreds of vehicles. More than 28,000 people across Sichuan were evacuated overnight, whole towns disappearing into the disaster zone. In Longqi town, a violent mudslide of 45,000 cubic meters thundered down, ripping apart the land. Meanwhile, the Fujiang River in Mianyang surged with 7,400 cubic meters per second, unleashing devastating force on everything downstream. But that was only the first act of a larger catastrophe. By late June 2025, the Sichuan Basin was locked in its deadliest floods in years. In Yibin City, the Minjiang and Jinsha rivers collided, swelling the Yangtze into a raging monster. At Heangate Station, water levels shot up to 267 meters, with flows surpassing 20,000 cubic meters per second. The Three Gorges Reservoir itself was hammered by nearly 30,000 cubic meters per second, forcing engineers to open floodgates, only to intensify destruction downstream. Across southern China, 100,000 square kilometers were drenched, with 70,000 square kilometers under extreme rainfall. In just 24 hours, 14 billion cubic meters of rain fell, the equivalent of 1,000 West Lakes unleashed at once. Now, a haunting question grips millions. Can China's pride, the Three Gorges Dam, survive this relentless punishment? Reports whisper of secret discharges, cracks and deformations, and reservoirs clogged with silt. Once hailed as indestructible, the dam is being tested like never before. If it falters, where is safe and what happens next? Sichuan has endured disasters for centuries, but its exposure to extreme weather is worsening dramatically. Studies show that in the Qingyang Mountains, major floods now strike 12 times more often each decade. A 2025 nationwide survey exposed a grim truth. Sichuan has the highest flood frequency in all of China. And the strange part? These disasters began escalating right after 2003, the very year the Three Gorges Reservoir began to fill. Scientists won't claim direct causation, but the timing is far too suspicious to ignore. This province has also become the epicenter of compound disasters, heat waves that flip into flash floods, or droughts that collapse into torrential rains. The Chengdu-Chongqing corridor is battered the hardest. Climate models warn that under high-emission scenarios, extreme weather days could triple in the coming decades. Global warming isn't a distant threat here. It's already turning Sichuan into a yearly battlefield of fire and flood. Yet nature alone cannot be blamed. Human engineering has carved its own trap. Sichuan is China's hydropower capital, hosting 3,700 stations and more than 8,000 reservoirs. These massive projects choke rivers, distort ecosystems, and when storms rage, operators must dump vast amounts of water to protect the dams, drowning towns downstream in the process. The Three Gorges Dam, once paraded as the crown jewel of China's conquest over nature, now appears more fragile with each storm. Research shows that since its reservoir began storing water, summers in northeastern Sichuan have grown hotter, winters harsher, and extreme rainfall events more frequent. Towns like Dazhu, Pengzhou, Guang'an, and Nanchong suffer yearly bombardments of violent downpours. From 2004 to 2014 alone, at least 32 events dumped more than 250 millimeters of rain in a single day. Some scientists even warn that the vast water vapor rising from the reservoir may be feeding monsoon clouds, dragging heavier rainfall directly back into Sichuan itself. Satellite data paints a chilling picture. Back in 2006, Japanese scientist Nakaha revealed that the Three Gorges Reservoir wasn't just storing water, it was actually amplifying rainfall over the Daba and Qingyang mountain ranges, areas already infamous for flash floods and catastrophic landslides. Add to that Sichuan's enormous river network, crisscrossed with more than 60 hydropower stations, capable of holding nearly 70 billion cubic meters of water. But when storms hit and these dams are forced to dump water, the mud and silt rush straight toward the Three Gorges. And here lies the silent killer, sediment. In 2020 alone, the reservoir trapped 140 million tons of silt, but managed to clear only a quarter of it. By 2023, a staggering 2.1 billion tons had accumulated. Dredging was tried and failed. Machines broke down within days, and unstable slopes made digging impossible. The only way to flush out the silt is through massive flood releases. But that means low-lying regions like Dongting Lake and Wuhan pay the ultimate price. What once stood as a monument to human achievement is now a source of dread. Experts quietly discuss warping and shifts within the dam's structure. Officials reassure that everything is safe. But the public sees images of cracks and twisted concrete and asks, what if this giant falls? Disaster researchers suggest that survival lies high above the Yangtze's path. The Shenangjia mountain range in Hubei, towering over 3,100 meters, could act as a natural stronghold. But for millions living in the floodplains, that knowledge feels meaningless. How do you escape when water can swallow entire cities in hours? The larger question lingers. Did humanity conquer nature, or did it construct a colossal trap waiting to spring back? Climate change is accelerating, and China is learning the hard way. Floods and relentless rains are no longer rare events, but annual horrors growing in scale. Experts warn the old faith in one dam to hold back the Yangtze is dangerously outdated. Can the Three Gorges Dam still carry the weight of protecting millions, or is it a ticking time bomb? Cracks are no longer rumors. They're visible. Studies confirm the massive structure has shown signs of slow but steady deformation. Once hailed as flawless, the dam now faces questions it cannot easily answer. The force of billions of tons of water pressing against compromised concrete isn't something that disappears with an official statement. Authorities claim the damage is within limits, but to the public, each new storm looks like the beginning of the end. Every flood season brings fresh tests. Water inflows are growing stronger, pushing the dam beyond what its original designers envisioned. If one section collapses, the chain reaction would unleash devastation at speeds no one can outrun. Scientists both inside and outside China have raised alarms, but their warnings are drowned out by official optimism. For those living downstream, comfort words don't matter. Survival does. The nightmare scenario is terrifying to imagine. A breach. If the Three Gorges breaks, floodwaters would roar down the Yangtze Basin, consuming Wuhan, Nanjing, and even Shanghai in hours. Hundreds of millions of people, Countless farms and vital industries could vanish under the surge. Experts don't call it just a Chinese disaster. They say it would shake the entire world. For decades, the dam was paraded as proof of mankind's mastery over nature. Today, it looks more like a fragile colossus under siege by time, water, and climate. Cracks, warping, unstoppable floods, signs that no human structure, no matter how mighty, can remain untouchable. What was once celebrated as power and pride now casts a long shadow of fear. Each storm that pounds the reservoir whispers the same truth: nature will not be tamed. The future of the Three Gorges is more than an engineering issue. It's a matter of survival. Will China invest in solutions beyond one aging megastructure, or continue betting on concrete already showing its limits? If the dam endures, it may stand as a miracle of resilience. But if it fails, it will mark the greatest man-made catastrophe in history. For those downstream, every drop of rain is not just weather, it's part of the countdown.
A friend in Pudong told me his company not only canceled the year-end bonus, but also slashed salaries by 30%. He had planned to use the bonus to pay his mortgage, but that plan is gone. Many of my friends in Shanghai are going through the same. Some companies are laying off, others cutting pay or delaying wages. Is every company in Shanghai this desperate now? One woman said, "I've already reduced the house price by 3.3 million yuan in just 3 months. Sister, this house is worth over 3 million yuan for the view alone, and you're still asking me to cut more? I can't. My kid is going abroad to study, and I need the money. Business is collapsing, and I'm forced to sell." With China's economy stalling, layoffs and the infamous 35-year-old threshold have left countless middle-aged workers trapped. Once you lose your job, getting back in is almost impossible. Even those once earning tens of thousands a month now struggle to find work that pays decently. One blogger wrote, "I can't change my fate, nor my parents. Just days ago, my dad's company dissolved, leaving him jobless at 57. With a younger sister still in school, he can't rest. I didn't know how to comfort him. I just sent 5,000 yuan. But the guilt crushed me. I'm too ordinary, too weak to give them a better life." Her father keeps searching for work, exhausted, nearly 60, still carrying the weight of the family. She recalled how, in her rebellious years, she used to blame her parents for not making enough money. Only later did she realize they had sacrificed everything, working endlessly, never traveling, never enjoying life, just to keep food on the table. Another blogger, Xiao Wang, thought he had hope when he landed an interview at an internet firm. But reality hit hard. The company proudly told him, "We work 996 here, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. No holidays, just time off in lieu." Xiao Wang left furious. Occasional overtime is fine, but turning 996 into a rule? Canceling national holidays? Are you hiring employees or slaves? This is the cruel truth of today's China. Salaries cut, mortgages unpaid, houses sold off, middle-aged workers discarded, parents breaking down, young people burning out under 996. Blogger Xiao Wang shared his job-hunting nightmare. At an interview after asking about his family, the interviewer dropped a chilling question. "What if your child gets sick when the project is at its busiest?" Xiao Wang was stunned. "Who's in my family is none of your business," he thought. Right then, he knew this company wasn't for him. He stood up and left. In his video, he sighed. Has the job market become so bad that employers dare to ask such questions? Some people may accept these conditions, but I can't. I have aging parents and a young child. If someone gets sick, I must be there. I can't sell my entire life to a company. But reality only got worse. Xiao Wang said, "Today I applied for a 3,500 yuan job, yet I was rejected because of my age. 2 months ago, I earned 10,000 yuan a month. Now I can't even get 3,500. They say at 40 a man has no doubts. But I'm completely lost. I don't know what to do." His biggest burden is the mortgage, 6,800 yuan main each month. Before being laid off, he barely managed. Now, without income, he's hit rock bottom. Another blogger, a 26-year-old born in 1999, described his survival strategy in Shanghai. Single, with no kids, he squeezes every yuan. Cooking at home, groceries under 400 yuan, utilities under 100, commuting by scooter. He rarely eats out, dinner costs under 10 yuan, and leftovers become lunch the next day. With strict planning, you can survive in Shanghai on just a few hundred yuan. But even he couldn't escape. His team faced mass layoffs, with 25–30% of employees suddenly dismissed. The crisis doesn't stop there. Housing prices in Shanghai are collapsing. Once 230,000 yuan per square meter in Huangpu, now 110,000. In Lingang, properties once worth 60,000 can't even sell at 27,000, a 70% drop. More and more foreclosed homes are hitting the market, from million yuan apartments to luxury mansions worth tens of millions. Experts predict another 30–60% drop within 3 years, pushing countless families to bankruptcy. 1/4 of households in Shanghai are already underwater, with debts far beyond their assets. One man broke down. I worked in Hangzhou for years, finally bought a 3 million yuan home with a 900,000 down payment and a 2.1 million loan. Monthly mortgage, 12,000 yuan. I thought I could endure it, but after getting laid off, I gave up. He hadn't paid for over a year. The bank seized his house. Shockingly, after all those payments, he still owed 2.06 million yuan. Of the 300,000 he paid, 60,000 went to interest. His down payment, renovations, and even legal fees, all gone. In just 2 years, he lost 1.6 million yuan. 10 years of hard work, and in the end, I was only working for the bank. Now I have nothing. This is today's cruel reality. Layoffs, age discrimination, collapsing wages, vanishing homes, and families crushed by endless mortgages. For millions of ordinary Chinese, decades of sacrifice are turning to dust overnight. The blogger stated that he was 46 years old and living in Guangzhou. He had previously worked and started a business. He lost his job in the first month of 2025. More accurately, he was out of work. Many kind people suggested that he tried driving for Didi or delivering food, just as a temporary fix. He rejected them all outright. There are 3 reasons. The first reason isn't the most important, but it's definitely the most crucial. His health. He's 46 years old now. He hasn't been known to endure hardship since childhood, and he never did any physical labor in his youth. Delivering food at 46 wouldn't be physically possible. He would barely make a few deliveries before his health broke down, and the little he earned would all be wasted. It was a waste. The blogger said another reason he didn't want to deliver food was the income. Many people say, "You're unemployed, so why are you still so picky? Just having an income is good enough." Have you heard that saying? He couldn't remember the exact words, but it means that if doing something doesn't change your current situation, it's better not to do it. The income from delivering food couldn't change his current situation or even alleviate it, so he felt there was no point. The third reason is also the most fundamental. Because opportunities are limited for middle-aged people, they're constantly busy and exhausted, devoting their limited time to a physically demanding task. Imagine returning home from a long day of delivering food, only to fall asleep, with no time to think about how to get over it. Over time, you're destined to be a delivery driver forever. Amidst China's continued economic weakness, the piano education industry, once considered a standard for middle-class families, is facing an unprecedented comprehensive contraction. From piano manufacturers to frontline teachers, the entire industry chain is in a downturn, and even high-income families are beginning to tighten their belts. Shanghai blogger Shanghai Xinsheng recently interviewed Ms. Zhang Cheng, a piano teacher born in the 2000s who has personally witnessed the ups and downs of this industry. Ms. Zhang has been learning piano since childhood and began teaching part-time after graduating from high school. This was during a boom in piano education when market demand was high. She has been teaching piano for 9 years, mainly on weekends, with classes almost daily during the summer vacation. However, in recent years, with the economic downturn and declining spending power, she has felt a significant impact. She said that since 2024, the number of students signing up for piano lessons has dropped significantly. She said that the piano shop where she teaches has also been forced to downsize. Originally a two-story teaching space, it now only has one floor left, with the other floor sublet. Fewer classes and a shrinking student population have exacerbated overall operational pressures. With falling housing prices in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, and frequent layoffs at large companies, high-cost educational programs like piano have gone from being a must-have for families to a dispensable expense. Ms. Zhang said, "I've even had parents tell me directly, our family income can't keep up, and with 2 children, it's too much. We have no choice but to give up piano lessons. Because piano learning requires long-term results. It's not about a certain number of lessons. Maybe 1 or 2 years won't show any results, but 10 years might, and maybe one day it will work. It's a long-term investment. If there's no immediate results, parents will say, forget it." She mentioned that even if families who come to learn piano live in villas, mansions, and drive luxury cars, parents still haggle over the mere 50 yuan fee, sometimes trying to drive down the price by saying a certain teacher charges less. They are generally reluctant to spend the large sums they once did on their children's piano lessons. This thrifty attitude would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. Back then, parents were generally generous and unsparing with their children's education expenses. Today, people's consumption attitudes have clearly shifted, and they have become extremely cautious about spending money.